Good morning. Welcome to Creekside Chat. Here we are, a day before the Adios.
Yep.
About ready to dive into that race.
Yep. Looking forward to the Adios, and can't wait to get into this race here.
Yeah. So the Adios is a grade 1. It is the third grade 1 for the 3-year-olds on the season.
There's only 4, correct?
Is that right?
I believe so. Breeders' Crown is the
How would
next
you ever
grade
know?
1.
We might have to get into that on a future episode.
Is there any more grade 1s
I'm
for
pretty
3-year-olds?
Sure you might be right. It might just be 4.
It jumps to the Breeders' Crown,
Yeah.
right? Or is
So-
Little Brown Jug a grade 1?
It might be 5. But anyway,
3-year-olds.
Burke, you look through the entries and you look through the elims. Burke dominates the elims and he dominates the finals. It's his home
5
track.
Yeah, 5 out of 9.
5 out of 9. How does he lose the race? Does he lose the race?
I don't think he loses the race.
But you're not willing to put your hat on one horse.
If I have to, I think, nothing exciting here to pick a favorite. You hate to pick a favorite, but I think Papi had shown that he was, the best behind, Brandon, Bo, whoever else was, kind of
Odds On
beating
Mr
him.
Mambo?
Yeah, beating him. Odds On Mr Mambo didn't have quite the flashy qualifier or the elimination, right? Papi did. He's just one tick slower than Papi Rob, a mile that people still talk about today.
Yeah.
That he was an absolute machine.
Yeah.
He actually gets injured after that mile and never races again.
maybe
and goes
during,
to stud.
who knows?
Don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a freaky mile. And if you overlay his mile with Papi, they're not that different. So I'm trying to give Papi the tip of the cap here. I've been really impressed with him. Once he doesn't have to go against Brandon, he looks like the one to beat. And I think he probably wins the race. You've got 4 others that can help.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably Burke 1, 2, 3. But I got a few that I think could
So if
get
you're
in there.
Burke, do you bring the drivers together and ask them to work together? Because they're all separate betting interests. So this is always that issue that I think people have, right? It's are the Burke horses working together? Are the Burke drivers working together? Should they work together?
I just
Because a
think
lot
that,
of times it's similar ownership.
Yeah, as a driver, you certainly don't want to stop or inhibit another horse, a stablemate, from getting their go at the line. And so you're trying to stay out of their way. And I think there was an example not that long ago, right, where Malillo gave Papi the toe in the Meadowlands Pace, right? And I think a lot of that just happens. I don't think as a trainer you necessarily even have to say anything. Those drivers know, you certainly don't want to, we're working for the same person in some cases or similar people. You certainly don't want to stop another horse.
Yeah. So Burke wins the race, not the filly. She doesn't quite seem like she was earlier in the season.
Yeah, she must not be at her best. Don't know what's going on, but I kind of going into this when they were going to race Ludipa, I know we were jumping up and down because we love it when people take shots with the fillies at the boys, but it just doesn't seem like it's setting up good for her, and that's a shame. But I'm sure she'll be back and be strong because up to this point she was making a Horse of the Year campaign. I thought. I mean, she would be in a short conversation.
Yeah. Now, if she pulls this off, I think she's right back at the top. Yeah.
What a monster!
But so
it would be.
Ronnie Wren picks off. Burke tells him to pick off. Mike Wilder gets the drive. Is that?
I'm sure we're all scratching our head, right? But she just really wasn't that sharp in the limb, right?
Is that right? Is that why?
Malillo, I thought Malillo was pretty doggone good in the limb.
Yeah.
I know he was chasing Papi and stuff, but Malillo, if he doesn't draw the 9 posts, I think we're talking about as a potential winner of this race.
So is Odds On Mr Mambo overshadowed by the Burke horses? Because he skips the Meadowlands Pace because he wasn't good in the Sire Stakes. Fine. I can totally get behind that. We would have done something very similar. He qualifies. He's fine. He comes there and he wins as a limb. Why shouldn't he be the favorite? He wins the North America Cup.
Awesome horse.
Let's be honest. Regardless of what Papi does, I don't think there's anybody in the sport that doesn't believe he's the fastest horse, the fastest 3-year-old. Shouldn't he win the race?
Odds On Mr Mambo with a shorter stretch than he's beaten some of these horses in. He's going against more of the Burke Brigade than he had to in the Cup. I'm just going to, his limb was fine. Nothing wrong at all. They just didn't go nearly as fast, and it wasn't as, I would imagine Papi's peaking right now.
But if you're getting 2-1 on Mr Mambo, aren't you taking him?
Oh, is it better?
5-2?
I think it's a good place to put your money for sure. Knowing that he's got some stuff to overcome, but he's got one of the very top drivers in James McDonald right now. I mean, people are making a case he's the number 2 man behind Dexter, and I don't know that you could argue that he's not.
I don't either. So speaking of number 2, well, maybe he's number 1 now. Brandon Blvd skips the Adios, right? It's one of only, what did we just decide, 5 grade 1s for 3-year-olds. Do we look down on Brandon Blvd for doing that?
I mean, there's plenty of people that want to see the best horses in all these races. Like the Meadows would love to have Brandon Blvd, I'm sure. You know, him not going into this race can be looked at a few different ways. You know, is he taking his break to get ready for the cane? We expect he'll show back up in the cane on a mile track. You know, or does this race just not have that respect that it's needed for a stallion prospect like him, you know, who's going for Horse of the Year stallion prospect at this point? It's hard to say, but these races do come up. I mean, talk about spacing and what you think.
I mean, we did it, what was it? It was 3 years ago now. We had Confederate, who won the Meadowlands Pace, and Cannibal, who made the final but ended up 6th in the final. And it was like, all right, we got to separate these horses, right? We had 3. You know, we put Christchurch and Confederate in the cane pace, and we put Cannibal in the Adios, actually before they were graded races. But we felt like we needed to separate these horses, right? And at the time, Cannibal was not regarded as, he probably wasn't even our third, maybe he was our 3rd best horse, right? So we put a tertiary horse in the Adios. So given that we had 2 better horses at the time, to me that tells you what you need to know about what the sport thinks about the Adios, which is it's not a grade 1 race. Let's just be honest. Yeah,
it doesn't quite stack up to the Cup or the Pace. And it doesn't have the purse of either of those races either. So
the purse is good.
It's a fantastic purse.
It's a great purse, and
they put on an amazing day.
Went.
I wish I could go every year.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the better. It definitely is one of the better live track experiences we have in our sport. People actually dress up, like legit dress up,
which is cool.
You know, the Pittsburgh community shows out. There's a legit fan base. I mean, there had to have been 4,000 or 5,000 people there the day I was there, like there for the races.
But it feels like a very regional race.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't get many other top horses that show up on that day. You get a lot of the Western PA, Ohio guys come over and race there, which is great for the sport, but it is not a grade 1 race.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame, but you know, spacing and where it lands on the calendar is so close to the pace makes it difficult.
So you can see why Brandon Blvd and the connections didn't choose to go there.
I mean, I think you probably like seeing that. I mean,
if you're managing a stallion, if you're managing a horse that is going to likely be a future stallion, which I think we know he likely will be, I would skip it. And so that doesn't bother me at all in the least.
You know, 5/8 wise, he will race on the 5/8 at Scioto in the fall, Breeders' Crown, right? But he may not see a 5/8. Right, leading up to that. He raced on the 7/8, I believe, already once this year up at Woodbine.
He raced up there last year. No,
was he on a 5/8 in like the Paul Revere or something this year?
Oh, he did. He went to Plainridge and won the Paul Revere.
Yeah.
So he can do it.
Yeah. So I think people do look to see if they can, and I'm sure he can. But needed a little break to be his best for the cane. Yeah. And may have Bo back for the cane, they say.
You want to win on Hambo Day. I don't care if you're a trotter or a pacer. Winning on Hambo Day in front of everybody on the biggest day of the sport matters.
Yeah, but that's another race we could talk about. Doesn't always draw all the best ones. You know, so the Cup and the Pace seems to bring out the very best ones if they're healthy, and then these others you get some sort of diminished field. But winning the Adios is still a grade 1 victory. And
can't take that away.
We're basically standing a stallion successfully in New York based on an Adios win and being a good 2 and good 3-year-old, but not the top one. And so, you know, if Al Papi was to win this or somebody was to win this, they'll have a shot at being a very remembered horse.
But probably a regional stallion at best.
I think if this is your best win as a 3-year-old, depending on what you did before or after. Yeah, but Treacherous Lou's a horse I was going to mention that I kind of like how he was able to get in the limb and make the final without having to do a whole lot. I figured it probably looks like a fresh horse going. If I could see him hitting the board.
Yeah, I mean he had to do 0 work in the limb, which is great. Yeah. I mean that's kind of what you do and looking to peak in the final. For us personally, you know, as guys that started Alliance, like we have 2 horses that we sold in the race.
Yeah, consigned Sweet Love and Lou too, who I think has a chance to hit the board as well. He hasn't really shown me this year that he's a winner in these big events, you know.
Not yet, but it's a long season.
But he could show up. I mean, it wouldn't shock you if he won at a big number. But it's just difficult with the home turf advantage. We talk
Burke
about
with 5, it's hard to beat that.
This has become a day on the calendar. They bring everybody they know out, and they really circle it. And it's important for them to be really good today. So we wish everybody luck in the Adios. We're looking forward to watching it. Yeah. So with that, let us know what you think about the Adios. Brandon Blvd skipping the Adios. Who you think wins the Adios? What you think of the race after? And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on Creekside Chat.